Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to AccuLynx's monthly webinar series, where we try to give you guys some ideas about what's going on in the industry, some things that you might want to apply to your business or take back to your people and talk about. Really, we want to be here to help you guys with your business and your day-to-day operations, give you some ideas, give you some maybe things you haven't thought about before, and also show you some of the things that maybe we have to offer to help you guys out as well. My name is Matt Morrison. I am on the AccuLynx training and support team or success team here, and I'm also your host today. I am joined with my partner in crime / partner in all things awesome, Michelle Middleman. She works with me on the back end and kind of manages some of the side that you guys interact with so that I can just focus on this. So if you have any questions, you can throw them in the chat box and Michelle will be helping you out with that. She'll also be chatting with me at the end during our Q&A. So say hi, Michelle.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Cool. So yeah, to that point, we are using GoToWebinar. I got a bunch of people on the call this morning. So rather than having everybody's mic live and kind of getting involved with background noise and feedback loops and types of things that come with that, if you have any questions or thoughts, some feedback, some ideas, or anything else at all, throw them in the chat box for me. I always love to hear from you guys and interact with you as best I can. So throw in the chat box. If it's a quick and easy answer, Michelle will just type out a response to you. If it's something a bit more complex, then we'll probably wait until the end when we have our Q&A, and then we'll kind of answer your question live. But one way or the other, we will do our darndest to get you an answer. More questions, the better. It's always fun when we get some good feedback here. All right. Well, like I said, the topic today, this month, is 5 roofing technology tools that your competitors are already using. I've got multiple monitors, so I'm not going to be able to look at you guys anymore, but you can still see me as we go through all of this. So let's go ahead and just kind of get into it all. Thank you guys again so much for hanging out with today. It is the best part of my month, getting to talk with you guys. So real quick, if you don't know who AccuLynx is, if you've never heard of us, if you've never worked with us or around us, we are the largest CRM in the roofing space. You know, years ago, back almost a decade or more now, I guess more than a decade now, you know, we realized that there was a gap in the market. A lot of roofing companies were still using pad and paper. There weren't too many options. I mean, everyone has their own spreadsheet, of course, but in terms of like software that was really designed around a roofing company, there weren't too many options. And the ones that were out there were relatively large, expensive pieces of software, but they were designed for massive companies, the type of company that might build a hotel or a shopping mall or an airport, not the type of company that's, you know, run by a relatively small number of people, throwing roofs on, siding, gutters, that type of a thing, that didn't need a $100,000 package for software. And there really wasn't anything out there that was purpose built around the roofing industry. And so that was what AccuLynx really set out to do, as far as I know, personally, before really anybody else was doing that, making one specially for the market. So we were really the first all-in-one system designed to help a company like you, if you're on this call this morning, probably like you, to run your operation, see what's going on, and really cater to your unique needs and ways of operating. At this point, we're proud to say we have thousands of contractors across the country that are using AccuLynx every single day to run their business and grow their business and scale their business. And as you can see, we've been able to win a number of awards, both for the software itself, right, in terms of the features that it has and the way it operates. But perhaps what I am most proud of is the culture that we've developed around here, is the people that work here care about you guys, right? We are here to help you guys succeed, and we've developed a environment that also allows us to help you guys out without getting worried about some of the less desirable things that can come with working for a company. So both the software and the people, we've won a number of awards for that. That's super exciting to have been a part of all of that. So where am I at here? There we go. So, you know, the roofing industry experienced a lot of demand for technology in 2020. I know it was a relatively boring year. Not a whole lot happened in 2020, but oh wait, there was something, right? There was this thing called COVID, or the coronavirus. And regardless of your thoughts or opinions or feelings about it all, it definitely had an impact on our society, on our culture, and the way that we run and have to run our businesses here, right? So I remember when this thing first hit, some of our customers were calling us up saying, Matt, this thing's not going to stop us. We're going to push forward. We're going to bob and weave. We're going to readjust. We're going to pivot. And this is how we're going to operate. And what are some tools that you guys have to help us continue to sell and operate and do demos as opposed to just shuttering our doors and going out of business, right? So, obviously there was increased demand for technology as more and more people were looking for a touchless or a low touch method of doing what it is that they do. And so a lot of people were, that were used to pen and paper and going into people's homes and signing things and, breathing their air and all that kind of good stuff. That just wasn't as realistic an option for all of the people in their market anymore. And so there was a huge push for new technology in the roofing and the contracting industry space. So, obviously some of the recent challenges that people face was, like I mentioned before, being dependent on paper. I got to be in front of you if you're my customer to sign or fill out something. And even if we're not talking that, I now have to take that piece of paper and put it in front of you if you're my boss, my office manager, my sales manager, or whatever, to have you look over a file, do some work, and so forth. And because of some of the restrictions that were placed on people or just people's comfort levels, that was not as realistic an option in some parts of the country as it had been in years past. And so being dependent on paper slowed things down, maybe made things impossible. And so that was a big challenge that people faced. Of course, there was also people wanting to work remotely. As you can see, I am not in an office. I'm at my home. Side note, apologies if my dog abuses the Amazon man, but I'm working from home like maybe many of you are. Michelle is certainly. And so again, the ability for me to physically hand you something, a folder, a piece of paper or whatever, became somewhat limited. And of course, customers' expectations changed. People are busy, they were stuck at home, or they didn't want you around. And so again, their expectations of how they wanted to do business changed. And the companies that were able to pivot with that maybe had already positioned themselves to offer those types of services or ways of offering services to their customers were the ones that thrived in that time as their customers' expectations changed and the market changed. And look, however this whole thing ends, whether it's in a month or two or a year or two, God, I hope it's not a year or two, but whatever it is, whenever it changes, I think it's realistic to say that the market is going to change. People realize that we don't have to be face-to-face to do business. And there are going to be some people that can't do that or just don't want to do that, want to do work remotely, want to do business remotely. And so the companies that are able to pivot and bob and weave and grow and scale into that are going to be the ones that are going to be positioned for long-term success, I think. So let's talk about the impact of technology on the roofing industry as we go into that, right? So there's some technologies that contractors have been able to use to overcome some of the obstacles, right, that prevent, right? Let me start over again. There's the technology can help roofing contractors overcome some of the obstacles that they might be facing, right? Bringing them better levels of productivity because again, they can work remotely or in person, but they don't have to work in person. Giving them more accessibility options. In other words, being able to do data on the go or talk to people remotely and pass information back and forth, collect signatures, all that kind of good stuff, and new ways to reach out to their people, whether that be marketing through social media instead of door knocking or face-to-face, whether that be doing paperwork digitally, whether that be emailing, texting, whatever, but just different ways of being able to reach homeowners besides what had been traditionally done. And these are all working together to help you obviously grow your business and stay in business in some cases, right? So what are some of the tools? So, one of the cool things about me personally working for AccuLynx and just in general is that we get to talk to thousands of contractors across the country. Obviously, we have the people that are actively working with us, but then also the people that just we run into in various ways, whether that be on social media or at events or on the phone or doing demonstrations. And so one of the cool things is that we've been able to kind of see what the most successful companies out there are using. And my hope and my prayer for this webinar today is that maybe just one of these gives you some ideas. Maybe just one of these is like, we hadn't thought about that, or maybe we should consider making that one of our 2021 pushes, right? One of the things that we really want to incorporate into the way that we do our business for 2021. And the first and foremost is some kind of software, right? Some kind of CRM software. If you don't know, CRM just stands for Contact Relationship Management System, right? It's a software where you put all of your information into it. First of all, of course, initially you're the lead, the person's name, their address, their phone number, that sort of thing. But then eventually you start to add bits and pieces, comments and messages and observations about what you said, what you saw, what you did. You might write your estimates in there. You might put your orders and your scheduling and your financials and all that kind of stuff. And it's one house for all of that information to live in, to be organized, and to be accessible by your entire team, no matter where they are, no matter what they're doing, whether they're home, whether they're in the field, whether they're in the office, whether they're on the beach sipping a drink with an umbrella sticking out of the top of it, right? You can access all of that information. CRMs also help you improve communication. Many of them offer the ability for you to tag people or communicate with people, whether that be internal team members, right? You want to do internal communication, or external. You want to talk with a homeowner, an insurance adjuster, a real estate agent, or whoever it might be. And of course, for internal purposes, it also provides a level of accountability. You can see what people are doing. Years ago, I was a sales guy, and at the time, we didn't have anything like this. So all of my work was done in a folder, right? I would scribble notes in a folder. I would put something in the middle of the folder, and that helped me, of course, because I had the folder. But I also remember that about 50% of my phone calls came from the office, because the office had questions as well. Matt, have you met with this person? Matt, what's the status of this thing? Matt, when do you think you're bringing that thing in? Hey, Matt, any idea what the value of that job is going to be? And the reason for that wasn't that the office was a bunch of jerks. They just had legit needs and reports and things that they were held accountable to. But because all the information lived in a folder that was in the front seat of my truck in a box that I stole off the back porch of Dairy Queen, right? That was the only way that they could get the information. There was literally no mechanism for them to find that information unless they asked me about it, right? So by putting everything in one place, you can just look up the information, find the answer, and so forth. It also helps you standardize your process, right? There's one way of doing business, right? Your company uses this piece of software, and you put this information here and this information here, and you submit this thing to that person. And whenever you do this, maybe some messages are automated or some tasks are created, but that creates a standardized process rather than, well, Michelle does it this way and Katie does it this way and Matt does it this way and Ben does it that way. We have the way that our company operates. And if you join our company, then this is the way we do things, because this is the system that we use. And with all of those things really comes the ability to scale for future growth, right? If anybody on the call has ever been in the military or police department, fire department, any of the kind of those big, massive organizations that are out there, right? Or a big Fortune 500 company or whatever, right? You don't scale by everybody doing their own thing, right? You don't manage, hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands of people by everybody just doing whatever makes sense to them. No, you create a standardized process, and now you can scale that business. You can scale for growth, because this is the way that we operate. This is the system we do. Everybody knows where to enter information. Everybody knows where to find information, and everybody does that way. And that allows a company to scale for growth without having to scale their overhead along with it, right? More people or fewer people can do more things because everyone's doing it the same way. And that ultimately, of course, helps you sell more jobs, do more sales, find more people, serve more people, and so forth. Now, the next one is automated communications, right? As businesses continue to change, right, customers' expectations change along with it. They expect updates, they expect information or whatever, right? And so many companies will create like a process. Well, when this thing comes in, then we send an email that says this. And when this job is scheduled, then we send an email that says that, or we send a text, or whatever the case might be. But a lot of those things are just repeating the same thing over and over and over again. And even if you create templates and you do a Control-C, Control-V, and copy and paste something into an email, that is still something that you or somebody on your team has to do or remember to do. And potentially they might forget. They might do the wrong thing. They might paste the wrong template, whatever it is. And so if there's any way to start to automate those things based around some of the triggers and milestones that happen in your organization, that's going to help you spend less time on the thing that you do over and over and over again, reduce the risk that they get forgotten, and create a consistent experience that your customers have, right? So every customer, and if customer A says, hey, your company was great, you should go talk to my cousin over here, you go to their cousin's going to get a very similar, if not the same, experience, because things are automated as opposed to just somebody has to remember to do things, right? But automations can also help with internal things as well. I was dealing with a customer last week. He's a relatively small company, but he's got a very precise process that he's created and that he's very proud of. And he wants to make sure it never gets forgotten, never gets skipped, right? And so what was very important to him was to create a series of tasks that when this thing happens, create like a checklist, if you will, for somebody else in the company to take some action. So you can also remind internal people to do things, or make sure they have a list of the things that they need to do that are coming up. So being able to automate some of those manual processes is allowing companies to scale and serve more companies, or more customers rather, because they don't need to just do the same thing over and over and over again. E-sign, digital signatures, DocuSign, whatever you might call it, you know what I'm talking about, right? If you've bought a house recently or done some legal paperwork or anything along those lines, right? You've probably been sent something that says sign here and it's in your email, right? Or on a tablet or something like that, right? When I go to the dentist, I have to scribble on a little box on the counter that says I agree to these things, nor I understand those things, or whatever the case might be, right? We're all used to doing some sort of digital signing process these days, and your customers are no different, right? So again, being able to walk into someone's house with a physical piece of paper and triplicate and sign and give them the pink copy is not as possible these days. Some people don't want it, and might be darn near impossible in other cases. But being able to do digital signatures, I mean, it's a feature that has been around for a long time, but I think last year really kind of highlighted its place in our society, because some people just didn't want you around. So the only way to do business was to do it digitally. So if you can start to bring digital signatures, digital documents, e-signing things in-house and build that into your process, that's going to allow you to, again, serve more customers. If nothing else, just give people more options, right? Besides having to physically be in front of them, or FedEx a contract over that they sign and FedEx back to you, or something to that effect. And look, the laws and the way our society works has made it, these things are much more much more legally binding than they had been maybe in the past, right? Online payment processing, again, same thing. Instead of having to go in front of somebody to pick up a physical check, right, we can do digital payments, right? So sending an invoice over, sending a payment request over, and giving that person the ability to pay, right on their phone or their tablet or their laptop, without needing to, pick up the phone and call you and call a credit card number over, and somebody on the other end has to write a credit card number down, and now you got some potential security issues there, depending on how things operate. Being able to provide a convenient payment for your customers to pay is the way to go, right? I mean, I know one of the rules of business is make it easy for your customer to give you money, right? Don't put any hurdles in front of them, right? Make it, the easier it is for me to pay you, the more likely it is I'm going to pay you, right? As opposed to, well, I gotta remember to call somebody, I gotta remember to do this, right? So making it easy. Obviously, it saves time. There's no physical driving across town. There's no mails. There's no certified mails and whatever. And if you're in a big area like Dallas or Atlanta or Colorado or Denver or some of those areas where there's just traffic all over the place, it can take you 2 hours to drive across town to pick up a check. And sure, it might be a $20,000 check or whatever, but if you can do that digitally and save that 2 hours and use that somewhere else, I mean, again, that's just being more efficient with your time. And of course, it also eliminates the potential for lost checks, for salespeople to get creative, we'll just say, with where those checks wind up. So it helps with that kind of thing as well. And then finally, reporting, right? A lot of people use an Excel spreadsheet, or they have an Access database, or they just have a physical folder system. And there are certainly some nice things about that, and maybe some potential advantages. But one of the areas where those things really struggle is in allowing a business owner to pose questions of their business. How did this perform? How did that person perform? How did this lead source perform? How did we perform? Or asking very odd questions about things. If you didn't build your database or your Excel spreadsheet to collect that data in the first place, give me 1 second here, guys. I'm sorry, I just realized I was on the wrong microphone input. I'm guessing I sound a little better right now. If you did not build your database, your spreadsheet, to collect that data in the first place, then you're not going to be able to pose those questions. But by putting everything into one place, you're able to go in later on
you're able to go in later on and ask questions later on, run reports about things that you never thought of before, but now you can find things about accounts receivable, sales, performance of closing percentages, or whatever the case might be. So being able to report on that stuff is really key to knowing how is your business performing, and what kind of position are we in to do growth. Maybe what's doing really well, maybe what's struggling, where should we focus some extra efforts, or maybe where should we double down because this one's doing really well for us. Those are the types of things that being able to run reports gives your business, and allows business owners, team leaders, managers, and these individuals to see what's going on. Oops, let me go here. Now, AccuLynx. So one of the things that we've done over the last, like I said, 10 or 12 years was start to build these processes. Like I said, years ago, we realized there was a need for this. And years ago, we were putting a lot of these processes in place. Now, obviously 2020 just highlighted the importance of those things, but we've built a number of tools to help contractors meet some of these needs and gain some of these efficiencies. Look, I will tell you personally, the reason that I'm at AccuLynx is because I want to serve the contracting industry. AccuLynx is just right now where I feel the best place is for me to have the most impact on contractors. I'd like to show you what AccuLynx has to offer because I think it's got some really cool tools. But like I said, my personal goal for this is that you get maybe one idea and then you go explore and see how that might serve you and your business and help you have an impact in your community with your people, whether your internal team members or your external community around you, the city or the state that you live in here, right? So I've got some cool things in AccuLynx. Hopefully it sparks some ideas. If you want to learn some more, we're here for you, obviously. But if it lets you go back and have a little bit of a better 2021, have a little bit more peace or a little bit more confidence in your business, then I feel that personally I have succeeded in this call here today. But of course, for AccuLynx, we do have some tools that help you improve efficiency so you can sell smarter, right? Helps you stay organized, work from anywhere, like we talked about, work remotely, work with your customers, but also work internally remotely as well. And of course, encouraging better communication here.